What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So yesterday we got a really interesting report, rumors, whatever you want to call it, about the upcoming Xbox Project Scarlet, or codenamed Anaconda, and Lockhart. Now we've been waiting to hear more about what's inside these machines, and we kind of have a leak here. This report was done by Windows Central, and it seems very legit. I mean, it could change, it may not be correct, but it seems legit. And what this is telling me is that I think now that Xbox, the dev kits have been sent out, and we're going to start getting more and more leaks about what these dev kits have and the specs inside of these Xbox. So let's go into this. Let's see what it's all about. And let's dive into what these specs will mean for the next Xbox. So if you haven't heard, I've done a video on it, but last week there was a report about a second SKU Xbox that will be releasing alongside the powerful Project Scarlet, and that is called Lockhart, and basically will be an all digital device that will mainly be used for Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud. This report here kind of confirms that because it goes into details not only about what's going to be inside Project Scarlet, but also the power of Lockhart. So it's no surprise, but we know that these consoles will be coming out in 2020, in holiday 2020, so in about a year from now. And there's many places that kind of confirmed this. Specifically, if you remember when they talked about when Xbox released their program for you to finance an Xbox, it said that you could upgrade to Project Scarlet when it comes out in holiday 2020, pretty much all but confirming that that's when it is coming out. According to several sources familiar with Microsoft plans, probably devs or who knows, but anyways, Anaconda is targeting around 12 teraflops of computing power, which is compared to the Xbox One X's 6 teraflops and the Xbox One S's 1.4 teraflops. Now Lockhart, the all digital device, is going to have 4 teraflops, which is just under the Xbox One X right now, and more powerful than the Xbox One S. And then they also say here that according to marketing materials we've seen previously, it is being positioned as the most affordable entry point into the next gen experiences. Now this is significant for a few reasons. First of all, it's going to probably be about $100 less. This is just a guess, but it's probably going to be about $100 less than the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Project Scarlet when it is released. Now this is huge because if you remember the last generation when the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, the Xbox One was less powerful than the PS4, but it was $100 more expensive than the PS4. And that really hurt its launch. That, as well as having you to force buy the Kinect with it. But that aside, they had a terrible E3 originally with the Xbox One. Then they released it at $100 more than the PS4, and it just completely destroyed the launch of the Xbox One and really hurt it throughout the entire console generation. So now Xbox has definitely learned from that. And they're not going to be releasing one SKU. They're going to be releasing 2 SKUs. One of them is going to be significantly lower than any of the next-gen consoles. And I think, honestly, even though it's all digital, this is going to be a massive selling point for anybody looking to jump in to the next generation of console. This alone could kickstart Xbox in the next generation. They want to get as many installs because they want to sell their services. So they want to be able to have as many people subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Live, as many as they can, so they don't care about having 2 SKUs as long as you are buying one of them. And if there is one for a lower price, it'll definitely be more appealing to a lot of people. Now, this article also goes on. It goes into pretty good depth to explain kind of like how we can judge this power of these consoles. And they do say here that teraflops and the raw computing power doesn't tell the entire story of these next-gen systems, which makes a lot of sense because depending on how things are optimized with the CPU and the GPU and the RAM and all that kind of stuff, it really makes a big difference on how the console is going to perform. So for example, they say here, Lockhart has less raw power than the X, but will have capabilities that elevates it further than the X in various ways. Now we can read into what that means. Obviously, it may not be able to output as great resolutions. However, it will probably be a lot faster with things like that. So both Lockhart and Anaconda reportedly sport 8 CPU cores targeting around 3.5 gigahertz, with Anaconda reaching a bit higher per core than Lockhart. Now they're saying here that that's just a relatively modest increase in the clock speeds for the CPU, but looking here, this is the Xbox One X, and it had a 2.3 gigahertz x86 AMD Jaguar 8-core CPU. And as we know, these next generation consoles are going to be using the new Zen architecture from AMD, and that's going to make a big difference as well. And not just that, but the way that they optimize the different parts within the console is definitely going to increase the speed of these upcoming Xbox. And as it says here, Anaconda can perform anywhere up to 45 times better than the Xbox One X if targets are met. Now, in terms of RAM, they're saying that the Anaconda will have 13 gigabytes of RAM for games with 3 gigabytes for the OS, equaling a total of 16 gigabytes of RAM. And if you know, on the Xbox One X, there was a maximum of 9 gigabytes for games, which, I mean, that is a pretty relatively big increase for the console itself. And on top of that, the SSD within the console could be used to throw in virtual RAM as necessary. So all this is very exciting. It really shows that the next Xbox is prioritizing speed of loading into your OS, not having to wait for games to open up and launch. The Anaconda is also going to have a NVMe SSD proprietary tech in it for obviously increasing the load times. The big quote here that really shows us off is that games with load times anywhere up to a minute will be reduced to mere seconds. Now this, to me, is massive, because there were times, like even right now I'm playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and every single time I die, I find the load times on the Xbox One X in that game are extremely long. I know it's a really good looking game, but they're extremely long. So if you can take games like that and reduce those load times to seconds, it'll make it so much more fun, because I'm playing on the hardest difficulty and I'm dying a lot. And having to wait for those long load times every time I die really does take away some of the enjoyment. And if you take a game, I know this is a completely different comparison because of the graphic style and the power of the game, but a game like Celeste, where you die over and over and over again, and imagine the loading time of that game within a game like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on the next generation of consoles, and just think about how much better of experience that will be. And another thing with waiting, if you remember, within this generation, is when you would go to the store or you would download a game, you would have to wait a decent amount of time before you could play it, because you'd have to download updates. If you put in your disc, it'd have to install, then you'd have to download updates. So you'd be waiting sometimes hours before you can actually play that game. And with Project xCloud, they're looking to take that away. So they're saying, with the inclusion of Project xCloud across all Xbox systems, will allow you to start gaming via streaming while waiting for games to download locally. I think this is awesome, because I like to buy physical games, and I like to buy physical games because when I was younger, you buy a physical game, you'd put it in, you'd be able to play it right away. And obviously you can't do that with this generation of consoles. You buy a physical game, you have to put it into your console, you have to download it, you have to install it, then you have to download updates before you can play it. And if Project xCloud can take that away, it'll be a really big jump for the next generation of consoles. Now, Microsoft has also said that the next generation games are going to be able to function across all platforms: Xbox One S, Xbox One X, and Xbox Project Scarlet. But obviously, because of the power of Xbox Project Scarlet, things like ray tracing and dynamic reflections will be exclusive to that console, which obviously makes sense. And then frame rates and stuff like that, depending on what developers do to allow you to unlock them, will be better on the next generations of Xbox. So yeah, that's a lot of information that we're getting from Windows Central right now about what's going to be in the next Xbox, how powerful it will be, and just how big of a jump this thing is going to be when compared to the Xbox One. Because that console right now, it is very weak. The original Xbox One, the Xbox One S as well, isn't that strong. The Xbox One X is a great console. Games run great on it. Even in 4K, they look great. They run great, most of them. So this is going to be massive, and I'm very excited to see what the console looks like, to get the definitive specs of it. Now, what I'm thinking about is the price of what Xbox Project Scarlet would be. I have two theories on this. One is that because they're releasing this lesser costing SKU, this weaker SKU, it's gonna they may keep the price of the Xbox Scarlet up, because they know that they have another entry point where people can go to if they don't want to pay the price for Xbox Scarlet. Or they're just gonna have that $100 barrier and that's it. So maybe like Lockhart is $399, Project Scarlet is $499, and they potentially may sell Project Scarlet as a loss, because they want to get as many installs as possible to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, to subscribe to Xbox Live, and to subscribe to Project xCloud if they want. So that is what I think is going to happen. I'm still going to say that Project Scarlet is going to be $499 American. So I'm Canadian, probably around $549-ish. So I'm going to say $499 American, and Project Lockhart is going to be $399 American. But I don't know about you, I'm very excited for this console. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait for it to be announced. Let me know what you guys think about these specs or this report in the comments below. Let me know what price you think Project Scarlet's going to be, and if you think that Microsoft will end up selling it at a loss or not. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to this channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.